You know, when we think about Elon Musk, our minds usually jump straight to the products, right? Tesla, SpaceX, X. But what if I told you that all of those companies, they're just individual puzzle pieces in a much, much bigger picture? Today, we're going to unpack the one grand theory that really connects everything he's doing.
So, what's the actual end game here? Seriously, if you peel back the layers and look past all the individual companies, what is the unified theory of Elon? Well, the answer lies in the ultimate goal that he's been talking about for years.
And here it is. This slide breaks it down perfectly. On the left, that's what we all see. The cars, the rockets, the app. But on the right, that's the real mission he talks about. He's not just building stuff, he's trying to expand the scope and scale of consciousness. I know, that sounds super abstract, almost like something from a sci-fi novel, right? So let's actually dig into what he means by that.
It really all starts with this classic existential question. You see, for Musk, the goal isn't just to find an answer to the meaning of life. The goal is for humanity to get smart enough to even ask the right questions. And to do that, he thinks our entire species needs a major upgrade.
All right, so that brings us to level 1 of the plan, the first piece of the puzzle. And believe it or not, it starts with X, what we all used to know as Twitter. So how on earth does a social media app fit into this grand vision of expanding cosmic consciousness?
Well, the key concept here is something he calls collective consciousness. He uses this amazing analogy. Think about it. A single human being is made of 30 to 40 times trillion individual cells, all working together. We, as a person, are obviously way more capable than one of those cells. So, what could 8 billion humans achieve if we were all interconnected in the same way?
And that is exactly where X comes in. He's been really clear that its main goal isn't just to be another social network. He sees it as a tool to literally wire humanity together to create one single global conversation where all of human thought can be shared, accessed, and built upon. And this is really the key, right? These features aren't just random add-ons. They are tools specifically designed for this purpose. You've got the global town square for discussion, you have all these different formats for sharing ideas, secure calls for that direct one-to-one connection, and this one's critical, automatic translation, to break down the language barriers and truly unify this collective human mind.
Okay, so once humanity is all wired together and interconnected, what's next? This is where the vision gets, well, even more wild. This next level is all about completely rewriting the rules of society using artificial intelligence. And just look at the timeline he's proposing. This isn't some far-off, distant sci-fi future we're talking about. Musk is predicting that in less than 20 years, AI and robotics are going to be so advanced that having a job becomes completely optional. It'll be something you do for fun, you know, like a hobby.
He describes this future as the singularity. It's a term you hear a lot, but his analogy for it is pretty great. He says it's like a black hole's event horizon. We know we're heading towards it, but we literally cannot know what's on the other side. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. It's just completely beyond what we can comprehend from where we are right now.
So how do we actually get to this post-work world? Well, the engine behind it is one word: abundance. He argues that AI and robotics, the very tech being developed at places like Tesla with that Optimus robot, they'll get so efficient that they can produce any good or service you could possibly want pretty much on demand. And that just shatters the entire foundation of our economy. Which, of course, leads us to the next logical step in this whole thing. If you have infinite abundance and work is totally optional, what happens to the one thing that governs almost every single part of our lives today?
It disappears. Yep, in this future, money becomes completely and totally irrelevant. It is a massive clam, I know, but the logic flows directly from everything we've just talked about.
And here's his reasoning. Right now, money is really just an information system we use to allocate human labor. That's it. But when you don't need to allocate human labor anymore because AI and robots are doing everything, that information system's just obsolete. So what replaces it? Energy. The true fundamental currency of the universe according to physics. Progress wouldn't be measured in GDP anymore. It would be measured by how efficiently a civilization can harness energy. Okay, so this whole vision is a radical reinvention of society. But this all leads to an even more fundamental and kind of mind-bending question that Musk talks about a lot. How does any of this connect to the nature of reality itself? And to get that, we have to talk about the simulation theory. His argument is actually pretty simple. Just look at video games.
In about 50 years, we went from Pong, literally 2 rectangles and a dot, to these insane photorealistic multiplayer worlds. If you just follow that trend line, it seems inevitable that simulations will become completely indistinguishable from reality. And if that's possible, it's almost certainly happened before. So the odds that we are the ones in the original base reality, in his view, they're pretty darn low.
So, wow, we have gone from social media to the end of money all the way to the idea that we're probably living in a simulation. How do we bring all of this high-level philosophical stuff back down to earth? Like, what's the practical advice here?
Well, it really boils down to this one simple principle. It doesn't matter if we're in a simulation or not. It doesn't matter if money exists or not. The goal is always the same. Be a creator. Contribute more value to the whole than you take for yourself. This is the practical application of his entire worldview, all boiled down into one sentence.
And that really leaves us with the final and maybe the most important question. If Musk is right, and we really are heading towards a future of unbelievable abundance where work is optional, our biggest challenge changes from survival to purpose. What are we going to choose to do with our time? And what's ultimately going to give our lives meaning? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.